Um, to start and to go deeper on the thematic, what I would like to ask you first of all, it's when you heard about tailoring, what does it mean for you? What is your impression? Is it something you are usually used in your projects? Not familiar? You don't know exactly what it means. So it's really important to ask this question to you, and especially to make sure that we have the same basis. The common misunderstanding that we do, it's compare Taylorism and tailoring, in fact. And very often people think that when we spoke of tailoring, it's tailoring. So this is mainly what we have in the beginning of the last century, that Ford and Taylor have put in place for optimize and try to make a better efficiency of the labor productory. But in fact, it's not really what we expect and what we mean concerning the tailoring. Okay, so in fact, what we think about it, it's tailoring in the engineering and the process itself. It's referred to how to customize or adapt the processes to go very fast on the market, and to make sure that we satisfy the customer, and to make sure that we are the best and we can win regarding the competitor. So really, it's important to be sure that we have this basis. So it was really important for me to make sure that you have this in mind. So I hope that you have this aspect. And what I would like to do with you is to say, okay, now we know what is tailoring, but maybe we need to clarify what it means. We want to reduce the development time. We want to have modularity, to have better and easy decision maker. We want to enhance resources, efficiency, etc., etc. But what does it mean, in fact? So after this definition, to make sure that we don't make any mistake in the future, what is the use case? In which direction I want to go with you on this aspect, and what I would like to share to you. First of all, we have a good definition. We know exactly what it means. Very often, when we try to figure out and to try to work with tailoring, we have some cliche writing that. It's important to think about it and to try to make sure that we will not go to this cliche and make mistake when we want to do tailoring. The first thing is thinking that it's just eliminating step to speed up the process. In fact, it's not the case. It's not elimination, but it's more related to optimization. Because sometimes, and especially when we have the chance to work on products that already developed in the past, we have some variants. So it's more easy to think. It's easier, to think to optimize, because we can imagine some reuse and sometimes some small modifications. So really, when we spoke about tailoring, it's not eliminate some step, but more so optimize it to speed up the process, to have a better efficiency, and to go on the good way. The second thing is, due to the fact that sometimes we optimize the processes and we say, okay, this step is not relevant, so we can skip it. We say, okay, if we tailor, we no longer follow the method. It's not true, in fact, because okay, this is some concepts. We remove some stuff, we optimize it, but it's not meaning that we not follow the method. It's just mean, okay, due to the fact that you have a maturity, you have make some decision, you have make an impact analysis, some kind of thing, we are pretty sure that it's good enough and we can follow the method, but just optimize the method. So it's really important to say, okay, it's not because I remove something, it's more that I don't follow anymore the methodology and we will not be certified. For example, if we follow the aspects in automotive space aspect, sorry. Another cliché on this aspect, it's regarding the starting of the project, the start of the project, and sometimes we say, okay, we lose a lot of time to analyze some stuff instead of develop or clarify the situation with the customer. But again, for sure, we will spend some times at the beginning, but the objective to perform this analysis, and especially impact analysis, for example, is to make decision and good decision at the beginning of the project to avoid any issues and any waste of times on the development aspect, because we have made the good decision at the beginning, so we make sure that the development will be better. The other thing, it's very difficult to track, meaning that it's always customized, and for each project it's not the same. But in fact, when you define your process, you have also the objective to define how to tailor it. So for each step of your processes, you have some solution to tailor and to explain and justify why you do this. So in fact, even if each project is different, each project can be specific, and the tailoring is not the same for each project. It doesn't mean that you don't have a strategy. You have always a strategy of tailoring. It's defined and masterized, and you can move on. Very often we think that we are able to perform tailoring if you have variant, platform, family, and for specific product without any sort of management. It's not possible to do this. So in fact, as soon as you have a product and you think about, from system point of view, by modularization of your product, you have a strategy of tailoring. Because for each module, you can think about, can I reuse it? Can I make it? Can I buy it? And for sure, for each iteration, because you know that for project point of view, you have several phases. You can have 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. And based on that, for each phases is an iteration, and this is a new maturity of your project. So you can also think about your tailoring aspect on one specific product without have a platform or variant strategy. Again, same as difficult to track the lack of standardization or no longer follow the method. It's not true, due to the fact that you have to define your strategy concerning the tailoring. I will not go deeper on lack of control and difficulty to replication, because we have already think about it. Same again, methodology, etc. So really, when you speak about tailoring, you have to to fight against those cliches and to have a strategy and to move on this aspect. So, in fact, when you want to apply tailoring, the good approach is how to be competitive, meaning that nowadays, we have a lot of pressure. We have some products with more and more functions, so more and more complex. We have competitors, and especially in Azure. So it's really difficult to fight against those competitors. We have to try to optimize the development, even if we have more and more functions. The scientist progress is more and more speed high. You make progress very often. So sometimes it's really difficult to follow everything. So we have good new opportunity. And what is important when you make a product, it's the added value that you can provide to your customer. For sure, you have to answer to the need of the customer, but if you can have added value, it's also something that is different. And in comparison, you have the company. So based on those factors and how to be fight and to be ready for the time to market. You have your processes, you have your local instruction for domain and for project, you have your organization, and also you have your existing product. So based on that, you have to think about how I can be more competitive and succeed to deliver for sure the good product, but most important thing for our management is the time to market. It's product and time to market at the same time. And the key for that is the tailoring aspect. Okay? So based on those, I would say, concepts and what we want to go in the tailoring, on what can we imagine to act? Meaning that is it product, is it process, what you can imagine? So take some second to think about it. And okay, I have to do a product. I have some stuff, some processes. So what can I imagine to react and to act? To think about tailoring and have a strategy on it. So in fact, for example, you have some artifact, and the first thing is physical element. So, for example, if I want to create a car, I want to add some new function or some new availability, some ADAS, etc. What can I add, remove, create? Sometimes it's just design change, meaning I change the color or I change the shape of my car or of my truck, etc. Sometimes it's just interface aspect, meaning I will change the technology. I can add some new interface because I have new functions. I need more sensor, etc., etc. So first thing, it's when I can imagine to perform tailoring and think about how can improve a project to another one, so a new one, or create a product, I have to think about, first of all, on physical element point of view. The other thing is I can have the same physical aspect, but can have more needs or more function on my product. The best example is software point of view. The physical aspect doesn't change, but sometimes we can change the algorithm. So it means we are focusing on the function change, on the performance change, on the constraint, etc. It's really important also to have this vision, so meaning that we can have the same physical aspect, but we can have more function or less functions. Okay, and the last one in the optimization to reach the time to market and to satisfy the customer, it's also process, meaning that which kind of strategy can I imagine for my product. I will say, okay, maybe I will have the same functionality, the same product with some small change. What can I imagine in terms of reuse? Can I imagine less iteration and less project phases? Should I have, for example, a concept if I have a reuse strategy? So maybe I don't need to have a concept phases, etc. Same for the validation. Can I imagine that some boundary help me to validate something at lower level, and from system point of view, I can imagine that I have the good maturity and good knowledge of my product to make sure that the validation aspect is okay. Same for the product baseline, meaning that I can have a strategy of integration, and also concerning my process to imagine safety aspect. Maybe the safety aspect is not relevant for my product, so can reduce the activity on my product, or I can imagine to decompose my safety point of view to make sure that I can reach the time to market. So as you can see, we can have several aspects of my product or my project from the process point of view to adjust, to play with optimization to allow to reach the time to market. Okay, now we have an overview on what we can imagine. So now, how we can do this? So it's really important now to think about the strategy. Okay, I have an overview, and so I can act on the physical aspect. I can act on the functional and conceptual aspect, but also on the process. But how we can imagine something. So it's really important now to think of our tactics, our strategy that we should put in place. And so, in fact, this is the activities that you can imagine for the future. And it's really simple now. We can have key factors. To help you to create your tailoring strategy. The first thing, it's the modular design. By modular, it can be physical, it can be functional aspect, but also in process point of view. So it's really important to decompose your product, your process, to imagine how in the future or with the current project, how I can decompose and remove some activities or add some activity depending of the analysis I had done. The second thing, it's a really good work on the interface. It's really important to have a strategy on the interface and the interaction between the other world, the different abstraction layer of your product, but also on the domain. So in this case, the model will be clear enough. It will be easier to adapt and to modify your product in consequence, depending of your analysis. The third key factor that we can add is the parameters aspect and the customization, meaning that your product is constrained and performances. So if your mind, and especially in the specification aspect, you keep in mind that you have to measure and to have clear objective and I will say performance of your product, it will be easier after to adapt and to measure the impact of the modification of your product depending of the parameter. So this strategy, it's really important to put in place. Second one, and really I will say, in comparison and familiar with modular aspect, it's a flexible design. It means that you have to think about some different options that you can have, meaning that, okay, I have my wheel, for example. Can I imagine some different size, shape, etc., which can be helpful to have the possibility to change. And not the last, but the previous one, it would be iterative development. It means that more than iterative, meaning that, okay, I do a circle, another one, another one, another one. It's more relative to measure the feedback and also the maturity of the product, because sometimes it will be difficult at the beginning, especially if you start from scratch, to have a good maturity, and it's easy to specify and to go to the development. You have to sometimes some small step, and sometimes it's really important to increase the different project phases to be able to move forward and to measure your maturity, sorry, and your objective. Meaning that if you can reach small objective, then bigger one and bigger one and bigger one, you will be masterize your aspect, your project, and you make sure that if you have an issue, you can measure and understand why you have this issue. And if we change a lot of things in the same time, it would be difficult to be focused on the real issue, because you have changed a lot of things. And for sure, the last one, it's always the same, the documentation and traceability. It means if you have maintain a complete documentation and traceability and make the effort on this aspect, you make sure that you can measure the different evolution of your project, and you can move forward. Okay. So based on this tactic, you can imagine a plan, and for example, this is something I can redo on the different aspects of the project. And the first thing we can do is make like reuse strategy. So the MBR matrix that we can think about, okay, I have a project, I can maybe reuse something, I can modify or make something. Okay, because I changed the strategy, I changed the technology, I change bus communication, I change I can add some sensors, those kind of thing. Or sometimes I don't have the knowledge, and I assume that I can buy it. So by measuring this aspect to know exactly what I can reuse, what I should make and should buy, you also evaluate the maturity of your product, but also of your knowledge and how to move forward on your project, and especially identify the real challenge of your project, and you know where you have to put effort on this aspect. As soon as you have made this, it's really important to do after an impact analysis. Okay, I make decision, I make choice on your aspect. So it's really important also to quantify the effort regarding the challenge. Okay, so for any reason, you assume that you have to change a large part of your system. So it means that you know that you have put a big effort in terms of resources, in terms of analysis, in terms of design to achieve it. So it's really important after to measure the risk, and this is the third step of it, to evaluate the risk to select solutions, regarding the challenge, several solutions, and to make a compromise to select the good one. And as soon as you want to select the good one, you make decision matrix. So based on the different solution, you evaluate the risk, and you evaluate also the effort. And based on this decision matrix with ponderation, you are able to make decisions. So it's really important to have this way to think about and to move forward for the project. So on those aspects, you are able to with this different step from a challenge, from a project, to measure the real challenge, to quantify the load and the risk associated, and to be able to make decision, and to be able to tailoring your processes and your development aspect. All right. So next, okay, Matthieu, good. You speak about some theory. You provide us some some tips, some activities, some concepts, some way of work, but what does it mean in synergy point of view? So, in fact, thanks to the overview, the modularity, and the different steps that we have already shown together, the fact that from a V-cycle point of view, because we know that we use this aspect, even if we do agility, etc., it's really important to sequence and be able to make decision, so decision maker, for the collaboration. So it means that based on the overview, based on those analysis, impact, risk, decision analysis, make back reuse, we will work together to be able to select. So it means that when we spoke about make by reuse, it means that from organization point of view, we are able to measure on those aspects, on the need, what we are able to do, what we have already done in the past, we can reuse, but what we are able to do, what we masterize, and what we want to buy because we assume that we don't have the knowledge. So on this aspect, we are able to, on the process and on the different domain activity, to have a decision tree and to be able to perform some activity, and some of them we can cut or we can just do smooth because we don't need a big maturity. For example, at the beginning of a project, from safety point of view, we have a concept with large objective. It's not relevant to go deeper because we need the system architecture and some solution to go deeper and to make a deeper analysis of the safety. So it's really important that even if we have some strategy, we have a different level of maturity and different aspect of how deeper I have to do on this aspect. So it's really important also in the collaboration to measure how we want. So this is a strategy, a product development strategy, and to make sure that we are able to measure it, to quantify, and to be able to make decisions and to move forward on our project. So then the synergy and you, I mean, now it's really important to collaborate together, and based on this strategy and the boundaries that we have defined, the modularity, to be able to know how I have to make the effort, how I can help the other people on my project, and easy to make decision together depending of what we want to do. So based on the make by reuse matrix, you know what we have to reuse, what we have to make, and on the make, we know we have to work together. So it's really important at this stage to define the boundary together, to move forward, and to go deeper at this stage. And for the reuse one, we know we reuse one, so it's not important. For sure, we need to do the impact analysis when we want to put some part together to make sure it will be working. But we know that this is not a big effort. So sometimes mechanical aspect doesn't change. So no effort, no big deal. Sometimes it's software, sometimes it's hardware. But with this strategy, we are able to have a good synergy and to work for one and to reduce the development cycle, and to make sure that we have the good effort at the good stage. So, last question that I would like to ask to you before we can move to the questions. Do you think it's possible to do tailoring? Sorry, mistake. I forgot the last word. On a product that you create, we go from scratch, and do you think it's possible to do tailoring? So the answer is yes, because in fact, and based on the modularity, the fact that you have parameters and you have defined some iteration to measure the maturity, you think already on tailoring aspect, because based on the modularity and the parameterization of your product, for each iteration, you can measure different step of maturity. And for instead of saying, okay, it's a tailoring plan on the global development cycle of a product, it's just from one to another one. So based on the concept of the tailoring, it's possible, in fact, to structure my product. So the breakdown, the different breakdowns, and also the different steps I can have to define in my process to go deeper, and especially for each iteration, right? So it's all from my side. So I hope that I help you on this aspect, and you will think about the tailoring in the future. So I can answer some question if you are there.